Hello beauties, welcome back to part 2 of my reading. If you haven't checked out part 1, please do. I uploaded it yesterday. I will put a link to it and all the other links that I refer to in the description box below. So basically, I was doing a Nadi spread, divine masculine, divine feminine, union energies, and these are all the advice cards interspersed. And just before we got to the union energies, that was when the video cut out and I didn't actually have time to do the reading, to redo the reading I should say, because I did actually try and upload it yesterday. It didn't work for some reason. If anyone's techie, if you could maybe give me some suggestions as to why some of my videos just do not upload and I can't even access them on my phone afterwards, even though they say that they're recorded. Yeah, if you could email me or message or something, that would be absolutely great. I have no idea why it keeps happening, but it's happened a few times now. Anyway, without further ado, let's go on to part 2, union energies. I'm not going to do a recap of what we saw before just yet. So this is where the union energies were. Before I do that, I'm just going to remind you, this was the card that came out right at the start of the reading, and it's the overriding energy of the entire reading. And this time, this reading very much, I'm going to put it on the side of the divine feminine because I feel like that's where it needs to go. The underlying energies were darkest fears, and it very much darkest fears, it almost seems like the flip side of this card, right? This almost seems like this is the light side of the moon, this is the dark side of the moon. It goes to show duality, but also how the dark and the light need each other to exist. So it's also very easy to flip your perspective. And so in many ways, the fears, whatever is you're afraid of, that's what shows you what needs to be tweaked or looked at or changed in order to strengthen and to grow. So that's where the light of the Lovers card comes in. Another thing I've just got actually from this card is that there are on many different levels, this is already here. I don't remember if I mentioned this yesterday in the reading that I did that managed to get recorded and uploaded or not, but this is already here, and there is very much, these two people are actually dancing, they're actually kind of spinning around a little bit, and not spinning in any kind of negative connotation, although it might kind of seem like that, but they are actually almost, I'm creating a bit of a vortex, a bit of an energy vortex, and that is drawing in a lot of different things into it for transmutation, I should even say, because this is what's growing in the middle of them, of their little dance, of their little twirling vortex. It's actually life is happening. Life is good stuff, life is bad stuff, life is growth and expansion though, all the time. That's the nature of life. It wants to grow, it wants to expand, it wants to blossom. Excuse me. See, because this heart, it also looks like a leaf, and these leaves also look like a heart, and they are very much, if you can see in the background there, just the Ace of Cups, the Lover Bounds card, which is crowning the union energy as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. Actually, look, I've just seen crowning the divine masculine, we have coming together, which is also a heart. Crowning the divine feminine, we have win or lose, which is also a heart. Crowning the union energies, we have, well, the ultimate heart card, the Ace of Cups. So no matter what is going on the surface, this is the overarching energy of everything. It's all because of love. Love is at the top, the heart is at the top. You must, you know, in the Hindu tradition, when we, especially, well, for women specifically, when men prostrate, they are just flat on the ground. When women prostrate in front, you know, basically bow down in front of the guru, or sometimes elders or God or whatever. Because it's hard for us, because we have boobs, it's hard for us to fully prostrate. We have to put our knees, our hands and our forehead on the ground, so you're almost, it's similar to child's pose but with your hands by your shoulders. And the reason you do that is so that your heart is above your head, and as well as, and you're really putting your mind to the floor, and kind of, because normally we walk with our head as the highest part of our bodies, and we can get quite egocentric, but we have to put our head and our mind and the ego to the floor. And for women especially, because we are very good with our emotional intelligence, our heart is above our head when we prostrate. And that's a good metaphor to sort of remember right now. Remember that the heart knows what it's doing. The heart is the seat of the soul as well, and the heart is basically the place in the body where the connection is I guess strongest is not the best word, but to the divine is kind of, it's one of the, there's one, that's the area with the least interference. So be in your heart as much as possible, let it do its thing. I want to talk about this a little bit more. These two are spinning around and around in a positive way, creating a vortex. Good things get sucked into that vortex, good things come out of the vortex, good things are growing out of it, but sometimes bad things can get sucked into it in order for them to be almost, it's like decaying matter is also like the material that a plant will grow from. Think of the lotus. It starts off as a seed in the smelly, disgusting mud in a marsh or a bog or a pond or whatever, and then it grows into a beautiful, fragrant lotus. And it's kind of something similar is happening, and at the end there will be a beautiful lotus for the whole world to enjoy. So but what's at the bottom right now, so the lotus is at the top, what's at the bottom right now is that smelly mud, is that kind of, if anyone's feeling stuck, like they're stuck in the mud, like they really are a little bit trapped and a little bit claustrophobic and sinking down, there is a way out, and the way out is within. So look to the heart, not so much to the head. Okay, so the base energies for the union, we had believe and succeed and detach. And what these two cards basically were saying, where the union energies were, if you look here towards, there's a lot of light, and it's very much like some people, for many people, they have been seeing good things, and some people they've been seeing different things. Basically, some people have been focusing on the good, some people have been focusing on the bad. It's important to face up to both of those aspects, and some people are choosing to move on in different ways, but it's signifying decisions and a letting go. Bad habits, things that they know that people no longer feel they need to hold on to or no longer want to hold on to. They've served their purpose. It's at least the intent, at the very least, if not an actual physical letting go, has actually happened. And it's very much stepping out of the shadow of winter, where there's no, you know, it's a period of no life. It's stepping out into knowing that you're protected as well. And she's quite happy and calm, and she's quite bravely and very serenely kind of stepping out of the cold, this lady, whether it's a woman or a man or anyone. It doesn't really matter if it's the divine feminine or the divine masculine. It's just very much a sense of, I'm actually seeing this is very much more for the divine feminines though. They know what it is that they have to do, and they're very slowly, surely and carefully walking, and calmly walking forward, letting go of anything that they don't need anymore. She doesn't need to keep hold of this dove. The dove could be anything. Codependency, I'm hearing, whether that's with addictions, whether that's with just playing small holding on to the divine masculine. Many of these divine feminines have also let go of the divine masculine, and the divine masculine is what is flying away free to do whatever it needs to do. And this is very much the divine masculine seeing that he is actually free to fly. So he's finally seeing that this flight is possible, this light is possible. And it's very much it's not a running kind of flight. I'm not hearing, you know, that the whole phrase of fight or flight. It's not that. It's very much kind of, okay, I can be free. I can actually fly. I've got this. Things are possible. It's very much more that kind of flight. It's freedom. They're seeing movement. They're seeing freedom. So some of the divine masculines, either they've just started to see this light that's around their crown, or they've actually started taking action, and they are the bird. And that's that's going to be very, and look, and also notice how the woman's not looking at the bird either. She's looking away. So the more they can, the more space they need. A lot of space. You know, a bird should not be caged. It should be flying around in the sky, free. Now, moving on to the card that's at the centre of the reading. It is the Hanged Man, which is number 12, the Observe card. It's very much about seeing things from a different perspective, but the message is very much the Hanged Man. The imagery is very much to do with this card because it's this deck, but the meaning is very much to do with the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man, and in particular the Hanged Man being the Shirsasana. For those of you who are familiar with yoga, it's the headstand. The headstand is also known as the king of asanas. And an asana is just a pose. Asana is actually to sit, weirdly enough, but it's about stillness. And I wanted to talk about kind of with this card, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, a lot of different perspectives, and the fact that she's in space. So there's a lot of vision, there's a lot of expansion, there's a lot to see, there's a lot to take in, there's lots of light, there's lots of colour, there's lots of darkness, and everything is kind of there. It's a very dualistic card, but can you see how they're upside down, they're the right way up? It's very much, for many people it might feel like after these tower energies that their world seems to be upside down. And when the world is upside down, when you're upside down, it gives you a very good opportunity to see things from a different perspective. And what the reason that Shirsasana, the headstand, is known as the king of asanas is because it gives a break to you, to your body physically, but also it just like what I said about your head normally being the highest part of your body. When you're prostrating, it's the lowest part of your body. It creates a lot of movement, as well as gives you a different perspective and a different experience and different sensations in your body, and it all together helps you to expand. And that's where the imagery of this card comes in. It's very much to do with space, and that's the ultimate expansion as well. And again, the heart is the focus, is one of the other focus points of this card. And there's a lot of movement with the light coming in, the light here, the light going up as well, and coming out of her. She's almost glowing, and she's looking off into the distance because it's all about vision and seeing things from a very, very meta, a very high, a very elevated position, and not getting bogged down by the minutiae and just mundane nonsense of everyday life. So see the bigger picture, see the cosmic picture as much as possible, and don't think about yourself, because when you look up at the stars, you realise how completely insignificant you and your own problems can be very often. So look at things from a different perspective. That is going to give that's what's happening. That's what's happening. There's also, for me, the Hanged Man is also very much a card of grace, receiving grace, and also being, very much being and appreciating, you know, because weirdly enough, when you're doing a headstand, it's very active, but it's also very passive. Like, you have to do it properly, and it's an asana that you have to, it's quite simple once you know how to do it, but to do it properly, it needs a lot of control and a lot of alignment and a lot of concentration, really, awareness, just like all of yoga should have. And there really is a lot of movement. There's a lot going on in the stillness of the pose, and there is a very, very, you know, when you meditate, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of movement in the stillness, and when you're doing stuff in a meditative way, there's a lot of stillness in all of your movement. So that's something to really ponder at this moment as well. So if it seems like not much is changing, there's a lot going on. If it seems like, you know, you've got loads and loads and loads going on and you don't know whether you're coming or going, there is a way to find stillness in all of the things that you have to do. It's all about changing your awareness. And again, you can flip things. If things seem bad, you can reframe them. Overarching energies are love abounds. What can I say about this? The Ace of Cups, that's where the union energies are heading after this new perspective, this integration of all the grace actually happens, especially for the Divine Masculine. Can you see how this is flipped? The new vitality is also flipped. So once they find their balance, that's when love can really abound. And it is there, it's already there, it's just about accessing this right now. And it's very much when that vision happens. This is the third eye. It's also the leads from the Lovers. So once those energies that are created out of the heart really reach the third eye, that's when the real new possibilities that will, and new vision will really be opened, and that's when people will see the path a lot clearer, and it will happen in a much more concrete way as well. So lots going on, lots and lots and lots going on. So just for a quick recap, the Divine Masculine did have a stage of balancing, but they are coming into, they're facing up to a lot of things that they weren't facing up to before. And rightly said, if you see the comments from the previous video, it's also like this Divine Masculine here in the Choose Your Battles card. He's got his back to the Divine Feminine, and it's almost quite protective stance. I was saying he's very much doing it on his own, like he's facing up to his deeper spheres. And he's choosing to actually face up to them in a way that he wasn't before. He was very avoidant, but now he's very much firmly going to do it. And once he does that, that's what's going to reach, that's what's going to lead to this coming together. The advice for him is to actually move. This is the card of Cancer, the Crab, and the Chariot in the traditional tarot. And the traditional tarot shows a man, a warrior, another warrior, charging forward with great intent on a chariot. So what it's going to help them to do is, we've got two very, very sexual cards, Sacral Chakra, New Vitality, which is the Ace of Wands, and that's what's going to really magnetize and fuel them and get them thinking about the union energies again. Divine Feminine, you've got Seek the Truth, Just Breathe, Win or Lose, all Swords cards. The main thing to take from this is you've come to some new realizations. You just have to let those really digest and integrate. Both messages reflected very nicely in the union energies. Then you have to ruthlessly go ahead, cut out anything you don't need from your life. If there are any things that you've been battling with professionally or whatever, or romantically, don't be afraid. You have to be really, really, really brave, and you have to do them. And you, with the Sun card here, the Shine card, you really have to put yourself first. be selfish. Give all your heart, energy and love to yourself, and have no fear about turning your back to the union. Absolutely none. It's really imperative that you do that. Any meaning that you've attached to it, any fear, just ditch it. Another advice card you've got is the base chakra. So any blocks to do with this, try and work on them. Make sure you're grounded, eat some red foods. That's all really basic stuff. That's not really the best way to be grounded. I mean, the best way is to find, in my experience, find a really good meditation or yoga practice to do. I've got a link to the Isha Kriya down in, I'll copy and paste it from the other video, but listen to that and try and really do some light stretching or some exercise. It can be vigorous exercise depending, like play a sport, a competitive sport, really get the blood pumping, the blood moving, and eat well, rest well, and just really feel yourself in your physical body and do stuff. Practically get out there and do stuff, whether it's your work, get that to-do list done. That's going to help you feel grounded. So I feel like you achieved something. That's going to really help. Really get into your masculine energy. And if there's anything that you need to do that you're worried about, like in terms of kind of like your security, your day-to-day survival, not to sound dramatic, get that done, and that will really help you feel, get the basics done. That will really help with the base chakra. I think that's all I want to say. So no matter what everything looks like right now, really look at things from all the different angles and from as an elevated and meta kind of perspective as you can. See that, you know, when you're 5 miles up in the sky, it doesn't matter that much, you know, like the distances, everything is, the relativity of everything is different, has changed. So remember that, try and look at the bigger picture, remember why you're here, and always be in the heart. It's very much about the heart. This reading is building up on the last reading for March, so do revisit that as well. And just remember that stuff is happening. So connect with God. And this is also very much, I want to go back to this again. This is also saying that there has been more of this energetic merge as well. So the more you can act on yourself in other areas of your life, Divine Feminine, it's still going to help the Divine Masculine, wherever he's more unbalanced. I'm seeing much more to do, because there's so much more heart energy here. This is much more to do with his romantic aspirations, things that he's been running away from. That's what he needs to go after and balance, and that's going to help the situation for the Divine Feminine, getting work and practical matters and other stuff in order. I'm just hearing other stuff, whatever other stuff means to you. But it's very mental, so whatever the Divine Masculine does with the heart, it's really going to help the Divine Feminine's mind. And whatever the Divine Feminine does with her mind, like putting herself first and working on things that are normally associated with the ego, like you're actually allowed to be a little bit more egocentric because you've already done the work to not let your ego take you over, Divine Feminine. So as long as you can consciously do that, you need to work on your ego in such a way that you can effectively work in the world and get what you want. That's what the message is. So look at things from different perspectives, and just know that, look, crowning everything is hearts, so it's all good. Right, guys, if you would like a reading, you might have a bit of a wait, but do get in contact with me, and all the details are below. So lots of love. Thank you for your patience, and I will see you next week. Bye.